Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Join alongside a drowsy Jacob in Wisconsin. Jacob, how we doing this morning, sir?
See, I made the dedication to get up, unlike Emilio. So
yeah, Emilio's definitely in the race car bed this morning.
I guarantee you, if we could cut to a live clip of him, he'd be like on his side, on his bed, sucking on his thumb, just.
I believe it too, man. I believe it too. Obviously, Tim, he gets the pass. He's down there actually doing important stuff in Milwaukee and taking care of business. So, what we want to do is hop on here. There's a good chance we go live 3 times today. Obviously, want to get on here and just explain what we do know about the Jordan Love contract up to this point. If everything goes as planned for me, I'm going to go live again as soon as the Packers hit the practice field here in a little bit. So we'll do a little live stream during the practice, react to updates as they come in live. If Jacob's available, we'll see how everything shakes out. But and just kind of go with that. I thought that would be cool. The first day that Jordan Love's on the practice field, we would kind of cover that live, if you will. So I'm not expecting. I just want to set some expectations here. I'm not expecting Jordan Love to hit the practice field, and all of a sudden, all the offensive problems are fixed. And the reason I say that's because past precedent, right? Like I remember every year, and we talked about this yesterday, really, Aaron Rodgers struggling in training camp. How many times we've seen him throw interceptions in training camp? Everybody's like, oh, is this the year he falls off? I mean, as recent really as like 2020 and 2021, that was happening. And one of the main reasons is because at training camp, you're looking to push the envelope a little bit. You're looking to test the waters, right? And see what you can get away with, see what works, what doesn't. And also you want to give those defensive players enough realistic looks to make plays on balls as well, right? Not that the quarterbacks are trying to throw interceptions or trying to throw at the defense, but LaFleur is going to set the play calling, the pass scheme, the route combination passing concepts to a certain point to where the defense can get good looks out of all of their looks, whether it's a zero look, whether it's a cover 1, whether, it's man coverage across the board, 2-man under, cover 3, whatever it may be. So I'm not expecting Jordan Love to hit the practice field and all of a sudden, wow, the offense won the day. Now, that would be cool if it happened, but just understand early in training camp, the defense always has the advantage in that regard. So does that make sense, Jacob?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I remember Aaron Rodgers specifically says or used to say that he takes chances and throws that he normally would never do in a game, but he's kind of testing. It's like, sighting in a gun. He's got that arm pistol. He's got to take a few, shoot a few rounds here and there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Let's go to the chat here real quick. We had some people in here earlier. Chris Ian says QB1 is locked in. We got Miss Jen, right? Good to see you. Jen says, good morning, Posse. Headed to training camp now with the grandsons. Can't wait. That's awesome. Y'all have an awesome time out there. That's a heck of a practice to go to. You know the energy in that building.
Take some videos and send them to us and some pictures.
Absolutely. And listen, I want to give a full disclaimer here. Mandy is out doing stuff today, so I've got the 3 pups in here with me. I've got my brother's dog. You guys know my brother passed away, so we got a new addition to the family. He is Pyrenees and German Shepherd mix. And this dude thinks he runs the show. He kind of does right now. So if he barks, you'll know it. I apologize for your eardrums, okay? Because he's got a very, very aggressive bark. But that's just runs in the family. We like dogs that when people come to the house, they go, "Oh, I'm never kicking that door in." Right? That's the goal. So with that being said, let's jump into it, boys. Here we go. I thought this was cool to kick things off. AJ Dillon put this tweet out. Did you see it, Jacob?
Yeah.
So for those of you on the pod, AJ Dillon put a tweet out that says mood with laughing emojis. Let's go. And someone AI generated or photoshopped in Jordan Love. And it's actually a video of a guy counting money. And they put Jordan Love's head and face on it, which is absolutely hilarious. AJ Dillon and Jordan, they've been like really, really close friends since they came in the league together, right? I remember them talking about AJ Dillon and him spending off seasons together and things like that, and always working out together when they're in Green Bay. So it's cool to see AJ Dillon so supportive of his buddy there. Jacob, I'm rooting for AJ Dillon, man. Like that dude's in great shape. I think he's going to have a little more burst, a little more quickness. It sounded like Matt LaFleur was absolutely floored at how good a shape AJ Dillon is coming to camp too, man. So hopefully that pans out this year.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, you can't root for a guy anymore because he's so hometown friendly. The Merritt Green or Door County, and obviously I think his wife now and his wife's family are, in this city forever, in this town forever. So I know that he wants to stay here. I hope he comes and lights it up, and then they have to offer him a contract.
Same. All right, we're going to go rapid fire through these contract details. And Jacob, whenever you got to take care of business, just let me know. That way I don't call on you.
I'm gonna pop off real quick for a sec.
All right, well, sounds good. So while Jacob takes care of that, let's just dive into some of these details. And like I said, hopefully the pups will stay quiet here for me. So obviously we hit this last night. Jordan Love and the Packers. This is a Adam Schefter tweet. Jordan Love and the Packers have agreed to a 4-year, $220 million contract that makes him the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. He also gets a record $75 million signing bonus plus $155 million in full guarantees. The key word there being full guarantees. Deal negotiated by David Mulugheta and Andrew Kessler of Athletes First. Now, obviously, yesterday we put the tweet out. We kind of talked about this. I tweeted this out at 2:10 p.m. yesterday, my time, which would have been 1:10 Central. I said, this is going to be a great source test for me. I'm hearing two things about Jordan's deal. One, it's a 4-year deal. Two, actual guaranteed money is a new all-time high. Makes sense, but a case could be made for a longer-term deal as well. We should know soon, unless I just got and I put the frowning emoji. I will say this: the source I had was laughing that I didn't trust him, and I have gotten how do I say this? Permission, I guess is the right word. You guys know I'm not a sorcerer. I don't like doing this. Not sorcerer, but a sorcerer. I don't like, hey, I've got a source, or I'm like a reporter, if you will. I'm a Packer fan. That's all I am, obviously, and a bad one at that. Some would say, but I reached out, and yesterday they said, hey, keep it hush. Don't say where it came from. And then got basically permission this morning that I can say it was from the agency. Okay. So I'm not going to mention the name, but I had someone close to the agency that had the info. Okay. And again, it wasn't like groundbreaking. It's somewhat subtle when you look at the details we provided, but everything proved to be true. I was scared to death. And the reason I put that little disclaimer at the bottom is I was afraid that the dude was just BSing me. And then when we put the tweet out a couple hours later, the contract hits. It's a 7-year deal. I'm going, boy, I'm going to look like a fool out here. I didn't like that feeling I had all day yesterday after putting that tweet out. That's what I don't plan on doing anything like that in the future. But with that being said, when he told me that actual guaranteed money is a new all-time high, this is what they were referring to. Okay. So the signing bonus, first of all, the signing bonus is $75 million. It's the largest signing bonus in NFL history. Okay. So Jared Goff had recently had the highest signing bonus. Jared Goff had a $73 million signing bonus. That's literally sign the contract, they cut you a check, right? So Jordan Love has now upped that from 73 to $75 million. Obviously below Jared Goff. In the number 3 spot is Lamar Jackson at 72.5. Then you got Dak Prescott at $66 million. Then you got Russell Wilson at $65 million. Okay. So, and it's funny, Russell Wilson isn't even playing for that team anymore, right? Funny how that works. So now guaranteed at signing. All right. The guaranteed at signing number obviously was $230 million with Deshaun Watson. Again, like I told many people on Twitter yesterday that came at me after I put that up, there's no way he's going to have more guarantee than Deshaun Watson. It's like that contract doesn't even exist within ownership and front offices across the league. Even the agencies, they're not trying for that because the owners have been to the point that the owners got accused of collusion. Collusion, I think, is the right word. Whatever word they use, to where the owners went behind the scenes and agreed with each other. We're never doing that again. The poor Haslam family caught some hell over that in Cleveland, right? So they just
collusion.
Is that what?
Yeah.
Not Russian collusion, but collusion, right?
Right.
So, number 2, notice Joe Burrow, 146.5. So that was the real number there. When I put that tweet out and when he said guaranteed money, I didn't even really think about the signing bonus as much as I did the fully guaranteed money. That's actual. In the tweet, I put actual in all caps because you've got practical guarantees and actual guarantees. We talked about this last night. I don't want to harp on it too much, but you've seen that number was 146.5. Well, when you look at Jordan's new deal here, and this was in an article, I think, from Rob Domofsky, says the deal negotiated by David Mulugheta and Andrew Kessler of Athletes First also includes a record $75 million signing bonus and $155 million in new full guarantees. So now that new number is going to be 155, which it exceeds Joe Burrow's 146.5. That's the number I was referring to in my original tweet when I said actual guaranteed money is new all-time high. What's crazy is he could have even been talking about the 75 million, which could be considered actual guarantee, which honestly actual is the fully guaranteed aspect. But still, I didn't expect Jordan to break that part, to be honest with you, and he did. So it does prove to be kind of true all the way across the board, especially like I said with this article here from this little clip here from the article from Rob Demovsky talking about the $75 million signing bonus and 155 as well. So that's kind of how that all that falls into place. Jacob, are you here? And do you got anything to add to this as we go through, man?
Yeah, I was wondering, did you listen to Ryan's podcast when he broke down kind of he did like an emergency kind of podcast too, where he just covers the Love signing, and if I didn't misquote him or misunderstand him, I guess he made it sound a little more easy for me, because people were, believe it or not, some people were complaining that we either paid him too much or paid him too little, whatever the case is. But I think we see now why it took so long to maybe get a little bit of the details, because it does sound like that they wanted to have a crazy deal where it does make him the most highest paid in multiple categories. He gets all that, clout. But at the same time, it is almost a team-friendly deal in a way, because we can completely get out of that by, 2026 or 2027 if you really want to. Mm-hmm. And basically the way that, again, Ryan he said, basically it's you just gave him the 75 mil signing bonus up front, along with what his due salary was for the year. And you've already kind of almost knocked off half of that contract before we even start the new contract, because it's an extension, not just you know what I mean? So the 2025 year is kind of when that whole rebuilding, or not rebuilding, but where you can kind of start chipping away at that contract. And before you know it, like we talked about, if he's still rocking and rolling in 2026, 2027, we just move on, and that's fine. But if he is, for some reason, God forbid, something's going on and he's not playing at an elite level, we have a way to walk out of that contract and not just completely be, look like idiots.
Yeah. And see, I'm trying to hold comments on that specific topic until we see the entire contract, because it depends on how it's structured, right? And David Mulugheta, he's good at his job. I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of the only contracts that, no, we've got to keep him on the roster for 4 years, as opposed to, if God forbid something went awry, we could get out of that 4th year. Now, we typically, when I say 4th year of the extension, he's actually under contract for 5 years. If you really look at, we're going to look at the skeleton of the contract next. So I'm going to hold back on that a little bit. I listened to the first 15 minutes of his pod. I was on our way to our business storage unit and had to help Mandy get some stuff out of storage. And yes, last night was hectic. Of course, it hit right after we ended the show. But I want to see the contract exactly how it's structured. But I think Ryan is I'm about 99% sure Ryan is going to be absolutely correct in that regard. Here's the thing, like the people that are saying they don't like the contract, it's too much money, all that, I don't mean this in any any disrespect whatsoever. You have the right to your opinion. Who am I to say that my opinion is more correct than yours? You either think Love is the guy or you don't. And I say you, meaning Goody, Russ Ball, Mark Murphy, Matt LaFleur, the whole crew. If you think he's the guy, there is no such thing as a good team deal. Now, I know there are a select group of the fan base that thinks, well, we could have franchise tagged him for 2 years. You can, yeah. When was the last time that worked out for a team? To me, that would be the stupidest business decision the Packers could make. And I understand that numbers people and fans that play Madden, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm being real. These are real human beings with real camaraderie in the locker room and real culture that you've got to protect. That's a real thing in sports and business and everything. And most of the time, the people that make those comments, they don't have any experience in that field. And it doesn't mean that they're stupid or less of a person than anyone who does. It's just when you don't have the experience in that field, you don't understand how it affects things. It's easy to just go, oh, this is stupid. He getting paid a lot of money. He just needs to fall in line, do his job. They're going to franchise tag him. They can franchise tag him. I'm going to drink cold beer, go mow my grass. You know what I mean? Like it's so much more difficult than that when you're trying to put an organization in place. Go ahead, Jake.
No, it's just funny because we were just talking about Michael Lombardi's book, and I think there was just a little segment where he talks about how fragile an ecosystem of a locker room can be. I think it was it Jim Mora in Atlanta? decided that he was going to let the star quarterback ride in a separate, fancy car, and while the other guys were like on a bus, going, all together. And then the guys, it created a cancer in the locker room, and before you know it, the guy was fired months later. So it's just absolutely smallest little thing can set the place on fire.
Now, hit pause on that and look at the culture Green Bay has. Jordan Love hasn't missed a single practice. I know there are some people that want to pretend like he's being selfish and holding out and all that. He hasn't missed a single practice. It came a damn monsoon at practice the other day, and he's standing in the rain with his teammates, right? Like he's like, you know how easy it would be to go, I'm just going to go in and get out of the rain. I'm not even practicing. And no one would have judged him for that. But he stood right there in that downpour with his teammates. That's called being a leader. Guess what? That starts at the top. And I know some people don't want to hear this because they've got it so mixed up in their mind that Aaron Rodgers was a bad leader. Aaron Rodgers, think about this. Jordan Love and how he was raised, losing his father at an early age. He was raised by 2 police officers. Some people don't want to talk about that. I mention it every chance I can, okay? He was raised by 2 police officers. He was raised in a house that was very, very spiritual, religious, right? God, Christian is what he is, okay? And then he gets drafted by Green Bay, goes to Green Bay. And Aaron Rodgers, there's old clips you could see of how he was mistreated, or he felt like he was mistreated when he first came in the league because, Favre trying to hang on to his job, rightfully so. His replacement was drafted. It's like, I'm not going to help him take my job, right? And I can understand that angle, especially from a competitive standpoint. What Jordan or Aaron said, there's an old clip of him saying it's our responsibility to raise up the next group of players and be there for him, essentially is what he's saying. And then Jordan Love's words, not mine, talking about how Aaron did everything to help him along. Aaron basically trained his replacement, right? And he also taught him how to be a leader. He taught him how to prepare. Watch the guy throw a football. He looks like a clone of Aaron Rodgers. It's insane. I've never seen anything like it. Yeah. And there's a lot of credit that goes to Tom Clements and all that. Oh, by the way, we love Tom Clements, don't we? We rave over Tom Clements. But boy, those people that hate Aaron Rodgers don't like to mention the only reason Tom Clements is in Green Bay against because Aaron wanted him back, right? So you bring him back in. You've got him helping with the culture. You've got Matt LaFleur, who I think is a great culture builder. Everything from the top to the bottom, everything in the organization suggests if you do your job and you do it well, you will be rewarded, right? And all the way to the GM. Brian Gutekunst, some fans don't know this, Brian Gutekunst started as a low scout. And he worked his way up and put in the time. And he earned the right to be the next general manager when, rest in peace, Ted Thompson had to step down for health reasons, right? So you're seeing it in the front office. If you do your job, you do it well, and you're committed to this organization, you will be rewarded, right? So I say all that because there are some fans like, we could have just franchise tagged him. That's not how the Packers operate. It's not. Now, I wish the contract would have been done in May. I've been pretty vocal about that, but same time, they got it done, right? And who knows? I thought about this last night after I made the comment, Jacob. I was like, if you got it done in May, it could have been cheaper than Jared Goff. I don't know that for sure. I feel confident in saying that, but I don't know that 100%. It could have been Mulugeta going, nope, our dude's going to be the highest paid, and there's nothing you can do about it. It could have been the case. So, I just wanted to mention that because I'm glad you brought the book up because it is, man. Culture it's huge. Lombardi talks about this a lot too, and anyone who was around Bill Walsh and the West Coast offense, one thing that Lombardi talks about in that book a lot that you'll get to later in it because he studied under Bill Walsh. He actually was like Bill Walsh's personal assistant. Now, I know Hambubger769 on Twitter knows more about football than Lombardi. Lombardi's an idiot, but this dude actually studied under Bill Walsh. He talked about the West Coast offense and the 49er way, the way that Bill Walsh built that. It wasn't just an offense. It wasn't just a series of plays or how they attack a defense. It was an entire culture. And Brian Billick, you guys know Brian Billick won a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens, I think in 2000 it was. He used to be kind of the PR director for Bill Walsh. And he actually talked Bill Walsh into writing a book that's very hard to find on the web. It's like this thick. And it's a book about how to build an organization. And everything in that book is culture. Everything. So he's the one who invented the whole, when you're talking to the media, you're actually talking to your team. essentially. That everything you say in the media, it's treated as if you're in a team meeting because that's what it's for. That's how you can maximize the fact that the league is making you speak at a press conference. Anyway, let's get back to the contract. See, Jacob, you get me talking about culture and business and building teams and stuff, man. I get
no, but it was cool too, because one thing he mentioned is he even got so like anal about the fact that he wanted the front, like the concession workers to all act a certain way, and like the people that let in, like the ticket takers, like he wanted every single part of the building of the operation acting a certain type of professional way. It was kind of cool.
Absolutely, man. Another book too. It's not football related, but it goes hand in hand with everything we're talking about culture. If you're one guy, I don't really understand this whole culture thing you're talking about, and you want to learn about it, it's by Dave Ramsey called EntreLeadership. Unbelievable book. You guys know Dave Ramsey. He's a financial advisor, a dude that like he can take the average Joe, he's done it multiple times, and turn them into a millionaire simply by controlling where your money goes, budgeting essentially. Well, he wrote a book called EntreLeadership talking about how he brung up Ramsey Solutions, his business, and everything is culture in that book, everything. There's one chapter, my favorite, it's called Death of a Salesman. And it's just talking about adding value to people's lives as opposed to trying to sell them on, hey, they need you, that type of thing. It's a nice change of pace from everything in the world that just screams selfishness, So, all right, let's go to the skeleton. So obviously the contract isn't finished yet. We got the skeleton in place over at Spot Track. They do a phenomenal job over there. So this is essentially what it's going to look like. Okay. So obviously he's under contract for 2024. Now the cap hit, keep in mind, I think that cap hit is going to change. I'm actually certain it's going to change, and I'm going to explain why here in just a second. But the new skeleton looks way different from the old one, obviously, Jacob. So with the old one, he was only under contract, he being Jordan Love, for 2024. Now, notice you had 3 void years that were tacked onto that. Many people didn't know that. So you had a cap hit of in 2025 of 5.2 million, then 1.7, 1.7 in 26 and 27. All right. So those void years are now, it's gone. Now you've got the structure in place, and we're going to see how the cap hits are allocated. So I just wanted to kind of show a visualization of here's what the contract's going to look, and more specifically, Jacob, through the age aspect, right? Jordan Love is 26 years old this year. When this contract expires in 2028, he will be 30 years old. That's perfect. And here's the thing. It's kind of rare for quarterbacks to play great after 30. You've got the all-timers. It's more common today than it used to be. But what's cool is the way this is set up. If Jordan Love is balling out through 27, it's like this dude is not going to slow down. And now he's more of a pocket passer as opposed to an improviser moving in the pocket, because we know your legs are the first thing to go. Then you can look at extending him into those kind of elite years like your Brady's, your Rodgers, your Mannings that kind of got better a little bit with age until, of course, the wheels came off for Manning, and he still won a Super Bowl with that brain. But I like this visualization here, Jacob. What do you think about how the contract hits, man? He hits 30 years old, and that's the last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, that's why we got to give Goody you can tell that there's a plan. It's all by design, and that they're being really meticulous in the way that they're making all these puzzle pieces. I think that for sure, people have talked about us being so young and that our Super Bowl window is opening. I think this for sure kind of solidifies that we have a good solid 4 years right here where we can really be the Super Bowl contenders for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go to the chat here real quick. I don't want this to get too far before we get past them. Omer earlier said Jerry Jones going to have to pay Dak 60 if he wants to keep him. You see that foolishness at his latest presser. Man is getting senile. It was kind of hard. I'm going to tell on myself here, Jacob. I don't know the right way to word it, but one of my favorite things to do is to listen to Jerry Jones press conferences. I love going to the Cowboys YouTube page and catching their live pressers from training camp, because I understand what you're saying, Omer. And here's the thing. Jerry Jones is one hell of a businessman. Who am I to sit here in my humble little house in Tennessee and pretend like I know more about business than Jerry Jones, who is just a gazillionaire, right? But I know what you're saying, man. That presser was cringy. It was very cringy. The thing that I do respect about Jerry, he loves football, and there's no denying that, man. He could be doing anything in the world, and he wants to be running the Dallas Cowboys. He may be running it into the ground, but he wants to be running the Dallas Cowboys. I respect that. AFAM said, like how dumb are the Raiders? That's what bad culture does. It's a very good point. They do have a bad culture problem out there. I know United Bates earlier says morale is one of the most important things in any organization. And correct me if I'm wrong, Bates, you're former military, right? I hope I'm not getting this wrong, but I think you were a Marine. You want to talk about an organization that it's all about taking care of each other, morale, working as a unit. You've got to have culture. I mean, it's the epitome of culture, right? So, and like I said, I hope I didn't screw that up. I think you said you were in the Marines before, but yes, sir. He said, all right, good deal. Yeah, thank you for your service. Anyone else in the chat who served the country, I appreciate your job. All right, so that's the skeleton. We wanted to show the old Void years and how that kind of laid out. We got that covered. Now, let's get to the cap hit. This is the important part, right, Jacob? This is what we want to know as fans. So here are the early reports coming out. Tom Silverstein tweeted out, Packers quarterback Jordan Love had a salary cap number of $12.7 million prior to his extension. His new salary cap number for 2024 is just over $20 million. According to a source, that means the Packers should have between $20 to $25 million left on their salary cap this year. So immediately people said, we can go sign someone else. My response is, who?
No.
There's a thing called rollover, right, Jacob? If we don't spend this money, it rolls into the next year's cap. I would much rather have that cap space next year than just kind of force a signing, waste that money, and now your back's against the wall with the cap next year. You got an opportunity to roll 20 to 25 million into next year's cap, and the cap may go up. That's how you handle this contract. You remember the doom and gloomers saying there's no way they can afford to pay Jordan Love that kind of contract if he is the highest paid. This is how you do it. That with cheap wide receiver room and also an extremely cheap left tackle too. So,
yep. I remember too when those same people are probably the ones that said that we never get the Bakhtiari deal done, and then said that we would get the Rodgers deal done, and then the first Aaron Jones deal done. And so, I mean, we always figure out a way to get the deal done. If they want to, they'll make it work. Obviously, there's been hiccups with the Devontae Adams and all that kind of stuff, but in the end, we still did offer him the contract that was, anyways, we don't have to get into that. But I'm just excited that this is done, dude. And I'm excited that, what is it, an hour from now, they're going to be taking the field in pads. I just pray for no injuries, specifically to Mr. Love and all the quarterbacks for sure. But, dude, it just hit me that football basically, it really starts kind of today for me. They're in pads, you know what I mean? Is Tim going to be there? Does anybody know? Is anybody in the chat going to be at the practice today?
I know Jen is. Jen's already there, Jen, right? But I think Tim is still out of town. I think his plan was to maybe try to make it back Sunday. I'm not sure. Tim taking care of business, man. There's more important things right now that can't practice. You know what I'm saying? He'll roll in here when we're up, when we got a 9-2 team, and he'll come in here and go, I told you about J Love. So I love the comments. Comments are lit today. You guys are awesome. Let's see what we got in here. Randy Cleaver says, Goody is building a dynasty. Yeah, and what's really cool is we kind of talked about the model and what Lombardi talked about, modeling your team out and how some teams it's so obvious they don't do it. You can see where the model is for Green Bay. Like we specifically talked a little bit about the defensive tackle position last night and how, Kenny got the bag, but in 2 years, you'll know whether Devontae White and Carl Brooks is going to be that next star. If they are, Kenny walks and you free up all that money to sign one of those guys, and now you've got your next defensive tackle in place. I don't want to sound like I'm dogging Kenny. That's why I try not to even talk about it anymore. But I think we could do better at defensive tackle. But given the situation and them wanting to find out what Devontae White and Carl Brooks is, Kenny's about as good a floor as you could find at defensive tackle.
Right.
That's for darn sure. Especially with him recording his career high in sacks last year. That's the most important statistic. So I'm just one of these boring fans. It's like, but we got to stop the run too, I did hear somebody the other day, I can't remember where it was on a podcast or something, said he had his best year defending the run. And I was like, what the hell were you watching? Because, we talked about he was 141st in broken tackle, missed tackle percentage. Okay, but anyway, moving along here. Let's see. Prince says, roll that cap over. I think everybody kind of agrees with that. It'd be different if there was someone out there that's like, hey, this is the difference maker, right, that we can sign. So just don't want to force it.
And plus, we want to keep that in our hip pocket. If anything, again, God forbid, happens midway through the season before the trade deadline or something like that, where if we have to use some of that money or try to sign a free agent or something, I would just like I said, I'm so cheap too that we roll that over. Remember those rollover minutes from back in the day?
Oh my God.
Banking them minutes, baby. Come on now.
That was before texting, wasn't it?
That was with the sweet Nokia brick phone.
Oh yeah, dude, that brick phone, man. And they had it.
That had the faceplates you could change out.
Oh, dude, you kidding me? I had a Packers faceplate on that thing.
Oh yeah.
It was hideous too. But you accidentally drop it on the counter, just so people say, "Oh, she's on the phone." So, oops. The brick phone. God, remember Snake, playing Snake on it?
I was just gonna say that's all you could play was Snake.
Snake, yeah.
Hated that game.
AFAM said he's played Snake too. It got him arrested. Anyway, that's the story for another day. United Bates says Smitty just had a bacon, egg, and crayon. It was banging. AFAM says wrap Jordan in bubble wrap, please. See, that's the only problem with the contract, right? AFAM is like, now it's like, okay, we gotta make sure you're protecting that guy. But at the same time, when you're trying to be overly protective, that's when people get hurt too. You just got to kind of go out there and play. It's in the football god's hands now, right? That's for sure. So, all right, let's see. Bryce says, I'm in Green Bay today. Good stuff, man. Enjoy the practice, bud. It's going to be an awesome practice to attend. That's for sure. Jen Wright says she'll be tweeting, so everybody go follow Jen. Jen, put your handle in the Twitter or in the comments section here for us, so everybody can go give Miss Jen a follow for sure. She's going to have the grandbabies out there watching practice today. And then Mark O'Day says, hey, Packer fans, I'm finally making a live stream. Great channel. I appreciate the kind words, Mark. Glad you made it in here, man. I love it when people can make the live stream and kind of let us know who they are and everything. That's awesome. So, all right, back to the contract information. Salary cap percentage. We just talked about the cap hit, right, Jacob? Somewhere between 20 and 25. I'm sorry, just over 20 million, probably like 20.5, 20.8, something like that. So his cap number does go up from 12.7 to 20, still leaving on 20 to 25 million left in the cap. Now, let's talk salary cap percentage. That's what GMs look at, is salary cap percentage, right? You've got a model for your team and going, okay, here's the most important positions. Here's where we want to spend the bulk of our money. And that's one of the problems that Dallas is having right now, is they've got a wide receiver who's wanting to break the bank, right? The problem with that is if you don't even have a 3-tech that you feel, and their guy actually took a step back, their 3-tech last year. I think it's Lawrence, I believe is his name. Lombardi was talking about that and how the stats don't really add up there. You want to focus on a 3-tech and an edge rusher. Obviously, you got Micah Parsons. You got that checked off, but he's up for contract too. So you got Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons wanting a contract. If you think Dak is the guy, I personally do. I think he's a great quarterback. I know people are going to hate me for that, but I personally like Dak. I think he's a good ball player. I would key in on Dak and Micah Parsons and tell CeeDee Lamb to get his butt into camp and kick rocks, right? Because you can't pay everyone, right? So that you got to find what model works for you. And really, the league it's duplicatable. It's a copycat league. Find the teams that are having success. What's the first team that comes to mind? Kansas City. They got the dynasty right now. Where are they spending all their money? Quarterback and 3-tech and Chris Jones. That's where they're spending their money. So you can mimic that. That's where's the Packers spending their money? 3-tech and Kenny Clark, quarterback and Jordan Love, right? That's the teams that are competing for a Super Bowl. So with that being said, he goes on to say, Spot Track goes on to say, Jordan Love's 4-year, $220 million extension with the Packers ties him with Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence for the highest paid average paid player, $55 million in NFL history. However, $55 million against a $255.4 million league cap represents 21.5%, 10th most in the NFL, and well behind Burrow's 24.4%. Now, immediately people was like, how can he be making the same amount of money but have less cap percentage? Because when the deal was signed at the time, the cap was much lower. The cap has gone up since then. Okay, and he went on to explain that in latter tweets. But so what you're seeing here is Jordan Love is 10th most in the NFL as far as salary cap percentage. Seeing that they're looking at him as possibly the best quarterback in the league moving forward. I mean, that's what this contract means, is he's a top 3 quarterback in the league, really, right? And you guys remember the former GM for the Jets, Mike Tannenbaum, went on ESPN. Everybody made fun of him when they said that Jordan Love's worth $60 million. They also asked him, or he also made a comment and said, if I was starting a team today, the quarterback I would choose to build my team around is Jordan Love because he has the most upside. He literally had 1 year of starting experience, and you've seen him go in a 9-game span from, this guy's kind of mediocre to, holy cow, this dude is pre-snap dissecting defenses, right? That huge step he took. So I thought this was cool to see the salary cap percentage that's allocated here only being 10th most in the league. I think that's a win for the Packers, Jacob. Or do you agree, disagree? What do you think, man?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that's a win for sure. I mean, like I always say, I'm cheap, and that to me, if he is even a top 3, top 5, even top 10 quarterback, he's 10th most right now. I mean, I'm cool with that. I think that's perfect. And I think it again shows why it took maybe a little longer to get the deal done, but I think they've thought of all these little intricacies that we kind of didn't think of. So it's kind of cool, man. It's like a chess match.
Yeah, definitely. And since we're talking salary cap, let me just hit this. Steve in the chat said Micah Parsons also wants his money as well. So when we were talking about Dallas' salary cap situation, here's the problem they have. If I remember correctly, it was Zach Martin, interior offensive lineman, that held out last year and wanted his contract, and they chose to pay him. That's a big no-no. We paid Elton Jenkins, but Elton Jenkins' contract, look at it across the league. It's not crazy, right? When a interior offensive lineman comes to you and wants to break the bank in that current year and set it up in a way that it's going to kind of hinder your cap in the long run, that's not a good model. That's what Michael Lombardi was talking about, modeling out your team, right? And it's the reason you'll hear me mention positions of importance, tier 1 of importance, quarterback, left tackle. On the defensive side, the defensive tackle and edge defender. It doesn't mean everybody in that position group has to be paid like that, although you'd love to see it. But if you have one edge defender and one interior defensive lineman that are at the top of their craft, meaning they're in the top 10 at their position group, well, guess what? They can't double team both of those guys in the pass rush. And this league is built around passing. So if you line one up at a wide 9 on one side and the other in a 3 tech on the opposite side of the formation, you've got to pick your poison. And then you could start to really craft your game plan from a defensive perspective on shutting down what they like to do offensively by choosing which side you want to be single covered. Now, the beautiful thing about Chris Jones in Kansas City is he can play nose, he can play 3, he can play wide 9, he plays all across that defensive line, right? So that I just wanted to kind of mention that's where the Cowboys screwed up, is they tried to pay everybody, and now they're looking up and they can't pay the most important players. They can. They're just going to have to cut ties with some of the other not so important positions. If they come out and they give CeeDee Lamb the bag, I'm expecting Dallas's downfall. They're going to take a step back because I'm telling you that position is not as important as your Micah Parsons or your Dak Prescott. If they decide to hit reset and go enter this quarterback hell, think of the Raiders. We were just talking about the bad culture with the Raiders.
Oh, yeah.
The Raiders, they let Derek Carr go, right? And I know Derek Carr isn't the second coming of Jesus himself, but they are in quarterback hell now. Mm-hmm. And Derek Carr was the reason that they were still somewhat competing because he protected the football and played pretty fundamentally sound at the quarterback position.
Well, and then look what it did with the locker room, because what that did with the Devontae Adams mess, because that threw a ripple on that whole thing. That was one of the reasons that Devontae wanted to move there and play with his old college teammate and all that. And then again, we talk about what that does to a locker room. I don't think it's recovered.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see here. Doug said in the chat, good to see you, Doug. He said, talked with Cowboy fans who do not want Dak back at any price. They saw how much Goff got, which set the table for Tua and J-Love. Yeah, the whole thing that Dak can't win the big game, I don't get that. It's a team sport, that it's people kind of pick and choose when they want to say that wins and losses are a quarterback's stat. So I don't really, subscribe to that. But Cowboy fans are hilarious, though, man. You can't deny their passion for their sport. That's for sure. Now, as we wrap up here, just want to mention this. Tom Silverstein tweeted this out. Quarterback Jordan Love is eligible to practice in full with no ramp-up period. However, it will be up to Coach Matt LaFleur to determine how much he practices Saturday, which will be the first in pads. Love has only attended meetings and watched practice thus far. So there's a slight chance there could be a little ramp-up for him. I wouldn't be surprised if we seen him out there full go, though, to be honest with you. He looks like he's in great shape. Looks like he's ready to go, Jacob. So, obviously that training camp practice is going to get kicked off here at 10:30 a.m. Central Time, roughly a little less than an hour from now. And our plan is to go live as soon as that practice kicks off, we're going to be live on here and just trying to give some practice updates and maybe a couple other topics. If I don't go live, don't hate me. I'm going to try to work it in, but I got almost 2 acres out here to clear today and get cleaned up. So going to be a rough one. It's hot. It's hotter than a $2 pistol in a Emilio's backup van too. You know what I'm saying?
I don't wanna, but yeah, I do.
Anything else you got, man, as we get ready to wrap up here, bud?
No, it was just good to see Murph in the chat. Haven't seen them in a while.
What's up, Murph?
So, yeah. What up, Murph? And if you guys wouldn't mind, before we get out of here, hit that like button and maybe hit share today and just tell people that we're going to be going live 2 more times throughout the day and just try to get some new people in here because we'd like to keep it growing. Keep it growing. Keep it growing.
Sounds good, man. Appreciate that. So, yeah, just hit that like button. Feel free to sub to the channel. The YouTube channel is absolutely blowing up. I've had people asking, why can't I super chat? Why can't I super chat? If everything goes as planned, that feature should be back on the channel August 24th. So if it does come back, great. If not, no big deal. Also, if you want to support the channel and join our awesome community over here at Patreon, just scan that QR code in the upper right. That'll send you to our Patreon group where you can join one of 3 tiers. So just a way for you to support the channel. We also do giveaways attached to it as well. We take everybody who is supporting the channel, and we'll have stuff that's donated to the channel. We'll have memorabilia that I'll purchase personally. And like I said, just we'll do spin-offs, raffles, stuff like that, give it away. That way we can kind of give back to those who are supporting the channel. It's just a really cool community in there too. A way for you guys to stay connected and also get in touch with us a lot easier. So appreciate y'all that are a part of the Patreon community. That being said, we're out of here. We will see y'all probably in about an hour, maybe a little more, and see if we can get some live updates. And then we'll plan on going live again this evening at 7 p.m. Central Time if everything goes as planned too. So Jacob, thank you for joining me. Go take you a nappy nap. All right, man.
No, I'm going to go work out. I'm going to get ready. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to be here in an hour because we're going to give you guys some coverage, baby.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
I think.
Why do you want to work out, Jacob? Because you want to be
thick.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. I do.
All right. We're out of here, guys. We'll see y'all soon. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go, Pat, go. Jen, wear sunscreen if it's hot out there. All right. Be careful.
Yeah.
Protect those ears. I know all about that, man. Emilio, you know what Emilio said to me when he came up here, Jacob?
What?
He said, "You look more Mexican than I do." That's what he said.
It's true.
He can say that because he's Mexican, okay?
Yes, he can. Yes,
it is what it is. So we'll see y'all soon.